Hello everybody, welcome to your mommy yoga class. My name is Selena. So we're gonna start standing today in a mountain pose. So you know I talk a lot about this pose and a lot about alignment because in postpartum, whether you've had baby 6 weeks or 6 years ago, alignment can be thrown off. And if you're not taking that awareness to it, it can create this S-shaped body with this grandpa bum look, and we just want to avoid that. So standing nice and tall with the ears stacked over your shoulders and your shoulders stacked over your hips, okay? Then set your hips and stack them over your heels. All four corners of your feet, so toe mounds and heels, rooting equally into the ground. Roll your shoulders up, back and down, setting the blades onto your back as if they're kind of kissing your spine. I like to rotate my hands forward, which helps to open up your heart and chest. So making sure your chin is parallel to the ground. Imagine that string pulling you up from the crown of your head. And here we are in mountain pose. My very favorite cue, blossom your bum. So don't tuck your tail under, rather blossom the bum or the sits bones, if you will. All right, when you're ready, close your eyes. And let's start that big nourishing breath. So inhaling and exhaling through your nose. But if you feel like you need a little extra release, little extra stress or tension buildup happening today, then feel free to throw an out breath in there, which is simply inhale through your nose, exhale through an open mouth. Making that exhale, that out breath really long, extending it well past your inhale. And when you do this in repetition, 3+ times in a row, it helps to bring this sense of calm and peacefulness inward. Keep going nice and long. And you just keep going until you're feeling that sense of calm. Deep breathing like this helps to activate the parasympathetic nervous system, which is our rest and digest state of being. So anytime you're feeling a little frazzled or having a little extra messy day, then escape somewhere, close your eyes. You can even sit on the toilet and do it. Nice, big, repetitive out breaths, one after another, until you're back. Feeling good, feeling calm. Let's do 2 more cycles. So good. When you're done taking your time, and gently open your eyes, adjusting to the light. Give the hips a little shake. You can take your hands to your hips. So making sure you're at the top of your mat here. We're gonna take a giant step back, showing you from the side, with the right leg. So big step back. Make sure your feet are on train tracks. Back toe facing forward, and then put a little lunge into your front knee. And here we're just gonna come into a little calf stretch. So if you're not feeling it or you wanna juicify it, just step back a little more. And then there you'll feel a big stretch up through the back of your leg, through your calf, maybe even up through your hamstring. You can keep your hands on your hips if you want to. Make sure, take a peek, that you can see your big toe on your front foot. And if you can't, just adjust that knee so that you have a nice clear view of your big toe. Remember that breath, don't lose it. Good. One more cycle. Lovely. And then we're going to straighten that front leg now, keeping your hands here on your hips, making sure that the hips are squared to the front of your mat. So what the tendency here is to open up the right hip. So trying to make them level, you can take your finger to the front of your hips to level them off to the front of your mat. And then when you feel like you're in a good position there, clasp, hold your hand behind you. Inhale, attempt to straighten your arms as much as you can, and it might not happen today, that's okay. Big heart lift here as you're lifting your heart up, opening up your collarbones. Good. Tune into your next exhale and start to guide your way forward, spilling over that left leg. Keep drawing your right hip crease forward, left hip crease back as you do this. Big juicy stretch through pyramid pose. Feeling a nice stretch up the back of your left leg now. On your inhale, guide your way back up to the top and release your hands. Take your hands to your hips and you can hop that back foot forward, give her a little shake out, and then find your mountain pose. Set yourself once again. Remember, stacking, blossoming, chin level, heart open, shoulders up, back, and down. All four corners of your feet. You feel that? Good. All right, so when you're ready, taking your hands to your hips, take a giant step back, big step back with the left leg now. Both toes are facing forward and feet are on train tracks, so adjust your stance if you need to. Good. Let's put a little bend into the front knee and find that beautiful calf stretch. So adjust your distance if you need to make sure you're feeling that beautiful calf stretch. Come back in right here, right now, to your breath. Melting away any other tension or stress spots in your body, letting them be soft and open. Good, and then on your inhale, straighten into your front leg. We're gonna clasp the hands behind, and if you did it the first time and you were like, meh, I could do something else this time, you could also bring your hands just to your lower back here as well, fingers towards the floor. Inhale, find your little heart lift. Good. Squeezing your shoulder blades to your spine. And then as you exhale, start to spill forward, rippling over top of your right leg. Draw the right hip crease back and draw the left hip crease forward. If you can, allow your head to fall. Don't hold your breath through a challenge. I know that leg, that hamstring on your right side is challenged. Don't hold your breath and grin and bear through it. Send your breath there rather. Find release as you exhale. And then on your next inhale, come right back up to standing. Release, hands to your hips, hop the back foot forward and give her a little shake out. Shake, 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 shake. Awesome. Coming to the back of your mat now, genie squat your way down, 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 all the way to the floor. All right, so coming into tabletop, stacking shoulders over wrists, stacking hips over knees, and if the wrists ever give you trouble, come up onto fists, or you can even explore coming down onto your forearms as well. Don't grin and bear through any of this. All right, sweeping the right leg around in front, bring it right to the outside of your right hand. So make sure your right foot is on your mat, bringing it right up. And then if you want to, you can scoot that left knee back behind you to create one long line here in low lunge. So I'm scooching that left knee back to create one long line from the back knee all the way up to the shoulder. Now imagine a weight drawing your pelvis like a magnet, pulling your hips towards the floor, and allow the center there to sink, to melt. Big, big opener in the hip joint and the pelvis. So don't lose sight of that breath. Good. Now for these last few cycles, I want you to imagine you're on a sheet of ice and would do the splits if you didn't gently hug your legs towards one another. So can you do that now? Can you gently hug, squeeze your leg bones towards the center line? And right there, when we do that, we connect to the core, that center, that mummy strong, where we feel strength in our center, way deep down inside, connecting. You feel that? Yes, anytime you split your legs in a class, I want you to think about that connection, that sheet of ice analogy. And when you do that connection, you will help to strengthen and connect to your center, that mummy strong core. All right, starting to ripple back, send your hips behind you. As you flex into the right toes, walk your hands back with you and come into this modified splits. So if you feel comfortable, if it's comfortable for your neck, you can let your head hang heavy here as well. As you keep drawing the right hip crease back, flexing into the right foot. Again, that juicy stretch up through the hamstring. Breathe into that area, wherever it's feeling resistance. Send your breath there. One more cycle. Good, good, good. And rippling back forward to sweep your right foot back into place. Good. And come back into your tabletop. So in between here, let's do a little cat-cow. So as you inhale, take your gaze up, settle your belly towards the ground. And then as you exhale, really round your spine like an angry cat. Drop the crown of your head to the floor. Inhale, come back up, sink your belly, arch your spine. And then exhale, arc your spine, round it out. Get as much movement as you can through the upper spine, through the shoulder blades as possible. There is more mobility in the lower spine, so get as much movement as you can through the heart center. Good. One more cycle. And back into neutral. All right, sweeping the left foot around in front, tuck it up right beside the left hand here so it's all on your mat. And then scooch that back knee on the right leg, scooch it back to make one long line, if you can, one long line from your back knee all the way up to your shoulder. And hey, you may be looking at this video being like, heck no, that ain't happening today or ever. And that's okay. You stepped onto the mat today, so congratulations, let's celebrate that. Making time for yourself. Totally. Just make sure that each shape that you're moving into feels good. So does this feel good for you? You're not having to grin and bear through it. You know, there might be slight discomfort as this is a very deep and juicy stretch, but you're not feeling pain. Notice the difference between stretch and strain. Yes. So melting, melting, melting. And then make sure you find that connection. So as I connect, you don't see me do a big movement. Like if I were to flex my bicep, you'd see a big movement. An internal connection to your core, the transversus abdominis, there's no big movement. It's like a suction cup of your leg bones towards the center. Keep breathing, because your belly, your six-pack area is not constricted here. Just your core is working right now. So keep your belly open and soft and expansive for each cycle of breath. Beauty! And then we're gonna settle the hips back, back, back. Come into that modified splits as you bow your head over your front leg. Keep drawing the left hip crease back now. Really melt. Find that out breath if you need it for a little extra release. Ooh, lovely. All right, on your next inhale, slowly pivot your way back and around, and you can sweep that left foot back and come up into kneeling. Good. All right, so in kneeling, if you need to double up your mat or grab a blanket and throw it under your knees. I'm on a cushy carpet, so it feels good for me. But if you're on a hard floor, again, I don't want you grin and bearing through if your knee joints aren't feeling good right now. So we're gonna do some more core connection stuff, because whether you've had a baby or not, most people need to work with this area of their body. So you can take the hands to your hips just to help balance you. We're gonna bring the right leg around in front, and the more in line your heel is with your hip, the less stable you will be. And that's good. We don't want you super stable. We want you to have to connect to your core to find your stability. So scooch your foot around into a sweet spot that still challenges your balance a little bit. Okay, so I'm gonna find right here. Okay, and now I want you to imagine plugging your right hip into the socket. So again, it's not a big movement. It's like an internal sensation, and that is how you connect to your core. You're never gonna connect to your core doing sit-ups and crunchies. Honestly, if you're looking for a flat tummy, don't do sit-ups and crunchies. It can put extra exacerbation on that seam of your six-pack muscles, of your rectus abdominis, and actually expand that gap. And so crunchies and sit-ups aren't the best way in order to achieve that feeling of strength in your center. So hug your leg into the socket, still kneeling up nice and tall. And here we find our stability. Let's do 3 big arm circles and really challenge our balance a little more. And if you want to challenge it more, you can bring your foot right out in front. But you have to plug, you have to connect to your core. Good. Okay, take your hands to your hips. Let's slowly guide that foot back and around into kneeling. And we'll take the left leg around in front. Find your sweet spot, extending that leg, straightening it out. There we go. Okay, so remember that cue, connect. You can take your hands to your six-pack, I call it your belly. Take your hands to your belly. And I want you to feel the breath moving and expanding underneath your hands, because your belly shouldn't be contracted here. Your six-pack, This is your core we're connecting to here. Way deep down inside, the transversus abdominis. I say core because it's hard to say transversus abdominis every time. Way deep down inside, so plug. And when you do that, you create this arch of support, this connection that leads right there to your mummy center. Got it? Keep holding it, keep breathing. Now let's do 3 big arm circles forwards, challenging the balance. If you fall out of it though, no worries. It's all good. Last one. Yes. And bringing hands to hips. Okay, take that foot back and around, whoosh. And we're gonna make our way down onto our seat. So bring the legs out in front of you, find staff pose, just remove the flesh out of the way of your sit bones, making sure you're not sitting on your tailbone. So roll yourself forward, leading with your pelvis to sit up high on those sits bones. And when we sit in this L shape, ears stacked over shoulders, shoulders over hips, we are connecting to our core. It is the core that gives us this alignment and this tall seat. So if you're feeling like you're rounding and you can't get in this tall seat, well, that's an indication that we need to connect and strengthen to the core a little more. So we're sitting up tall. Yes, good, this is good. I want you to bring your hands to your belly, to your six-pack area, and feel 2 big, abundant breaths pushed there. So again, the six-pack is the stronger muscle, so usually that's the one that will want to take over. But it's not the six-pack that's gonna give you height here. It's gonna give you stability. It's gonna give you that feeling of strength. It's gonna connect to your pelvic floor area. The six-pack is not a part of that team. So turn it off. We don't need chiseled six-packs. Rather, connect to your core. Yes, good. All right. Little movements to connect to the core. It's not big movements. Good, we're gonna make our way down onto the floor now. So I don't know what degree of diastasis recti potentially you may have, because I haven't done an assessment on you. So for the purposes of this class, I'm gonna avoid rolling down by using your six-pack to get to the ground. So rather, I'm gonna get you to roll onto your side and make your way down. And just a side note too, if you are doing sit-ups and crunchies and planks, just making sure, especially if you are recently postpartum, that you've got that okay from your pelvic floor physiotherapist, not your GP or your OB or your midwife. They're not assessing your core and your pelvic floor functioning and your diastasis postpartum, but a pelvic floor physiotherapist will do that. So always make sure to see them postpartum, and it's never too late to get in there. All right, place your feet on the ground, and then make sure your heels are in line with your hips. Make sure your knees are in line with your hips. They don't splay open here. Good, arms are by your sides, palms facing into the ground. And make sure that your shoulder blades are shimmied towards your spine, creating this pocket at the base of your neck here. We're gonna come into bridge pose, and then we're gonna flow it. So take a big inhale to start. And then as you exhale, press into all 4 corners of your feet and lift your hips up off the ground. Now bend your elbows, kind of like robot arms, I guess, and lift your tummy up even higher. Yes, check your knees haven't splayed open. Keep your knees in line with your hips. Beautiful. And then on your next inhale, let's start to flow. Inhale, lower down. You don't have to come all the way to the ground. Just when your inhale is finished and you start to exhale, then lift the hips up on the exhale. Go slow, follow your rate of breath. Inhale to lower, exhale, lift. One more. And meeting up back on the mat, coming all the way down. Beautiful. You can give your knees a little roll out from side to side, lower back massage. And we're gonna prepare for Shavasana now. So before we do that, just making sure if there's any final movements that you want to do here before Shavasana. So if it's a final pose or if it's a final breath that you want to explore, just finding that now. Doesn't have to be a yoga pose, doesn't have to be anything professional. Just do what feels good for you. Tapping into that intuition. Final 10 seconds. And as you prepare for your Shavasana, laying long on your mat, take your feet, splay them wide. Take your arms by your sides, palms facing up. Tuck your chin in towards your chest to elongate the back of your spine, and then gently close your eyes. So we're talking about the breath, talking about anchoring there. So watch it with abundance, move through your belly, expand and retract, rise and lower. Feel that abundance, feel that beauty and nourishment that each cycle provides, not just your physical body, but that mental and emotional state of being as well. Notice how the breath nourishes this. Beautiful. When you're ready, you can slowly start to find movement in the fingers and toes. And gently rolling your way onto your side. Ragdoll up into your tall seat. Take your time, there's no rush. Thank you so much for sharing this practice and joining me here today. The light in me honors and bows to the light in you. Namaste.